What is up, Duelist Arts and Crafts here, once again bringing you your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat Format content. Merry Christmas to all of those who celebrate. Hope you guys are having a nice time with your families, if you are of that persuasion. Today's feature match, we got Asocialer Maracana versus Migena. Both players, as always, rated in the top 200 on the Duelingbook Goat Format ladder at the time this match was played. Let's hop right into it. Like Migena won the RPS, is going to choose to go first. Going to lead out with a Graceful Charity, so opening a Trinity piece is quite nice. Going to discard a Zombire the Dark and a Goblin Attack Force, which are definitely, they're two warrior cards, but not two cards that are main decked in the normal warrior strategy. So honestly, if I see this, I'm thinking either Earth aggro or maybe like Skill Drain aggro, because these are both two cards that get a lot stronger when a Skill Drain is on the field. So a lot of stuff here for a Socialer to think about. Migena is going to lead out with an Injection Fairy Lily, so it makes me think it's even more likely that it's Earth aggro, just with some main decks on Byras, to maybe help with the Warrior matchup, potentially. We're going to lead out with this Lily, set a back row pass, so pretty aggressive start here for Migena. We'll see if a Socialer can handle this. They're going to lead out with a Pot of Greed, so both players opening a Trinity piece is quite nice. Going to go up a card, and then Graceful as well, so Pot into Graceful. 2 Trinity to 1 Trinity, not too bad. And then the discards will be an Injection Fairy Lily and a Big Shield Gardna, so looks like some sort of burn list out of a Socialer here. Lily being most commonly played in burn strategies, more aggressive ones that run like Gekugire Panda and Giant Rats, and also Earth aggro strategies where it can also be kind of searched up by those Giant Rats, right? Giant Rat being a good glue that holds both of these decks kind of together, so would expect to see that out of both players at some point. Yeah, it looks like we have a pretty interesting matchup here, Burn versus Earth aggro, most likely, but we'll see how a Socialer can deal with this Lily. Opening Delinquent Duo here as well, so full Trinity start for a Socialer. Gotta feel bad about that if you're Migena. Gonna go down 2 cards, really through no fault of their own, quite early. It's gonna hit a Tribe Infecting Virus in the hand, and then Migena will choose to discard, let's see, a Nobleman of Crossout, which is a little bit risky. You saw your opponent discard a Big Shield Gardna, so I guess you know knock isn't always going to be good against set monsters. It's a little bit more risky than it would be in a standard matchup. But with the Big Shield getting discarded, you know that what they said is going to be a little bit more likely to be something that can actually get hit by knock, so maybe you would want to save it. But when you only have, 3 cards in hand to choose from, you're going to have to make a tough choice, and knock being what Migena picks here could be a little bit rough. I guess if you expect the opponent is on burn, Tribe Infecting Virus discard makes a good amount of sense, unless you want to blow up your own Ojama tokens that'll come through a likely Ojama trio. But yeah, so that getting hit off the duo might actually be pretty good for a Socialer if they have that trio in hand. Socialer is going to lead out with the Giant Rat, so as expected, Rat being played in at least one of these 2 decks. Let's see, you can go Crash into the Lily, force Migena to pay the 2,000 to kill the Rat, and then Rat can just do it again. And paying 2,000 to pump up your Lily turn after, or attack after attack, it's pretty good if a Socialer is on burn, because that's a healthy chunk of life points. Ooh, Creature Swap here out of a Socialer as well. Another great card to follow up a Giant Rat. So your opponent gets the Rat, you get the Lily, you can just beat over the Rat, and then when the Rat hits your graveyard, it triggers for you, and you get to summon out another card from it. So, pretty nice. Gonna steal them. Definitely not XYZ materialing them. A few years too early for that. Again, now, ooh, is gonna chain Scapegoat. Okay, so this is an interesting list where we're running Lily, Goblin Attack Force, Zombira, but also Scapegoat. So, honestly, not entirely sure what Migena is playing here. Some sort of interesting mashup deck. We'll get more intel as the game goes on. But a Socialer likely having a similar read as me, that this is more of an aggressive strategy that would not be running Scapegoat, so felt safe to run out this creature swap, and now getting punished because Scapegoat is one of the best counters in the format to that. Yeah, and then a Socialer will end up just with a single goat token. Migena will give them the Giant Rat, which now they can't beat over because they don't have this Injection Fairy Lily on the board. So Migena having to deal with triple Trinity, full Trinity here on turn 1, but at least has a little bit of a reprieve here with the ability to chain Scapegoat to that creature swap. And then a Socialer just has to set a back row pass, so Megana definitely still in this one despite the triple Trinity start. Just going to go straight to battle phase here on their turn. Rat will kill the token, and then Lily can get in for 3,400, Megana paying the 2k, dropping a Socialer down to 3,600, and this is now lethal on board already, despite a Socialer's blistering start. So, gotta feel pretty bad. Creature Swap is a risky card, especially in the metagame right now, where a lot of decks are playing Scapegoat stuff. In fact, even in, like, the most recent PWCQ, I think, there were a couple Chaos Control lists that topped that event, but none of them were main decking Creature Swap, just because it's so bad when your opponent has Scapegoats to potentially chain to it, as we see here. And Megana passing with lethal on board, a Socialer, gonna have to figure out a way to deal with this. Just gonna go set a monster, set a back row pass, get a wall in the way, so is blocking lethal, at least for now. Megana top decks a Delinquent Duo, though, to rip out the last two cards in the Socialer's hand. Oh, but we're going to trap Dust Shoot in standby phase before you can do that. That's fair. Yeah, so Socialer are going to be able to see the opponent's hand. So the hand is Creature Swap of their own, which is quite good when you are playing Scapegoat, Exiled Force, and Breaker the Magical Warrior. So not too much information here as to what they're playing. These are all just kind of staples. Creature Swap makes sense when you're on Scapegoat. Oh, a Socialer here. They have a hand of Cyber Stein and Horus the Black Flame Dragon. So they must be playing one of those like Horus Stein lists that we've seen popping up. Running Creature Swap as well, I guess, is kind of cute to go for these Giant Rat plays, perhaps, and maybe running Scapegoats of their own. But some interesting brews out of both players here. Honestly, not entirely sure what they're both running so far, but cool to see two unique decks duking it out. So now, if you're confused about this board state, basically, the Socialer is in the middle of resolving a Trap Dust Shoot. They're going to pick between either Breaker or Exiled Force, and then Megane is just saying, okay, after Dust Shoot resolves, I'm going to go ahead and fire off the duo anyway. So if you are a Socialer, neither of these monsters can be played right now. Depending on your back row, Breaker could be scary. Exiled could be scary as well. Oh, I guess, but you know Creature Swap is going to come through anyway, so maybe it doesn't even matter. Yeah, so which one you pick? Not a super consequential thing here, I would say. Oh, and then you can also chain Mind Crush. So we're playing a little Dust Shoot Mind Crush combo there to ensure that you get full value off of the Mind Crush. And yeah, I guess you would just name Creature Swap here, or would you name Delinquent Duo pre-chain, like pre-main phase 1? And this is the issue with Megana. You got to use your phases, especially if your opponent might be on Trap Dust Shoot. So a little bit of a convoluted board state here, but hopefully we can figure it all out. You're going to name Duo, and then rip out the Exiled Force with it. So saying, okay, I'm going to let you Creature Swap me. I don't care too much about my set monster. I'd rather keep these two cards in hand. Now, interestingly, prioritizing keeping the Stein in hand is a little bit odd when you can't activate it because you're sub 5k life. And you're not going to have anything to tribute to Horus either if this Creature Swap comes through. So naming Duo is a little bit weird. If anything, you would maybe name Creature Swap here, because that's kind of what deals with your board. We can see a Socialer has likely set Spirit Reaper here. So Creature Swap quite good against that. Keeping it on your side of the board is what's going to keep you in this game and wall out your opponent. So I feel like you would rather send back the Creature Swap here. But choosing the Duo instead is going to be a little bit interesting. And yeah, the Exile will get shuffled back. You know Megana's hand is now Swap plus Breaker. But you get to keep your hand here, at least for a Socialer. Yes, we're going to go Creature Swap. Yeah, you just lose, right? And now they can attack over. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it was a pretty bad situation, but really interesting. A Socialer opening triple Trinity. Full Trinity on turn 1, but then you can see how devastating running a Creature Swap into an opponent's Scapegoat is, because that just completely erased all the advantage that they gained. And then Megana was, obviously a little bit of a misplay there at the end by a Socialer. They admit that themselves. But Megana was in quite a strong spot there, regardless. And likely was going to take that one down, just thanks to resolving that Scapegoat. So go to game 2 here. In a pretty interesting matchup, a Socialer seems to be playing some sort of Stein-Horus strategy, which we have seen a bit on the ladder, but seems like an interesting take on that with like Giant Rats plus Creature Swaps, which you don't always see. And Migena is playing a little bit of a control list with main deck Goblin attack force, so maybe it's like a warrior goat control sort of hybrid list, which we see sometimes. It's like an aggressive take on goat control, right? Then you still have the scapegoats and the metamorphoses to provide you a little bit of insurance against like other aggro decks or combo decks or things like that. Game 2, though, a Socialer will be able to go first. Gonna lead out with a Graceful Charity again, so always good to open your Trinity stuff. Gonna discard a Breaker and a Giant Rat. Okay. And they open Duo here, so show me the Pot of Greed. Do we have full Trinity? Alright, and then Duo will hit the Duo. Yeah, definitely don't shuffle your hand randomly when your opponent has already picked the card. Can be kind of annoying with like lag on Dueling Book, but you want to be careful about just etiquette-wise. You know, like wait for your opponent to say it's like okay to shuffle or something, just to avoid situations like that. Duo hitting the Duo there, quite strong for a Socialer. Opening double Trinity at least, and ripping one out of your opponent's hand. And then Migena is also going to go discard this Nobleman of Crossout, which, like we saw last game, is a little bit risky when your opponent is on Big Shield Gardena. But when your opponent is on Big Shield Gardena, it also makes it more likely that they are playing high-value set cards that you want to make sure you're able to Nobleman of Crossout, like Cyber Jars and Morphing Jars and stuff like that. So a little bit interesting pitching that, making a Socialer more secure in being able to set a high-value flip here, perhaps. And they're going to go ahead and set a monster here as well, so definitely opportunity to punish the fact that this knock got discarded on Migena's side. A couple backer added as well. We're going to get a Trap Dust Shoot here in the standby phase. See what players both have in their hands. Migena's hand is a Giant Rat of their own. Makes sense when you're running that Injection Fairy Lily. And they open Double Trinity as well. Not going to be able to use both of them, but they have the pot at least to make up for the lost card advantage off of their opponent's Duo. And also just has a good hand of Mirror Force, Heavy Storm in addition to those two. The Rat's going to get shuffled back, though, off this Trap Dust Shoot. And we see a Socialer's hand is a Legendary Jujitsu Master, which is a kind of spicy side deck card that is pretty solid. And then another copy of Horus here, so hoping that their set monster will be able to live to see another day so they can tribute it for the big boss monster. So yeah, Rat will get shuffled back. You know you have to play around. Ooh, and we have Mind Crush as well. Likely naming Pot of Greed, so the classic Dust Shoot Mind Crush combo coming through. And you successfully ripped out both Trinity pieces from your opponent's hand. That's pretty nice. So a little bit of like hand control here to go with their Horus Stein shenanigans. Yeah, and they're going to rip out the pot, shuffle back the Giant Rat. And Migena is now very, very far behind. Just going to set probably that Mirror Force, although you could be tricky and set the Heavy Storm here. Definitely an option. Socialer, looks like they top deck DD Warrior Lady for turn, so not going to Tribute Summon for that Horus. I guess you would rather do that when your opponent has a monster on the board that you can kill to then summon out the Horus level 8. So being a little bit more conservative here. I'm just going to apply some pressure with the DD Warrior Lady. I think is totally fine. Attacking into potential Mirror Force. Migena is going to allow it, assuming that is a Mirror Force set. Like I said, it could be the Heavy Storm. And then a Socialer just going to pass turn there with a couple normal summons in their hand. Migena just draw pass, okay? Socialer going to set another monster and then get in for 15 with his DD Warrior Lady. So smartly, you know your opponent has Mirror Force, so you don't want to pressure with more than one monster at a time. And DD Warrior Lady is one of those monsters that's like just weak enough that you might not want to expend your full Mirror Force on it. And so it gives the opportunity for a Socialer to just kind of continually apply pressure here. And Migena is now down to 5k, which is not ideal for them. They top deck a Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, though, which can pretty easily deal with this DD Warrior Lady. It will trade 1 for 1, so a lot of value out of DD Warrior Lady here for a Socialer. But Migena finally finding an out to it, at least. I'm actually going to go ahead and attack the set monster, which has been around for a while, and it is a Big Shield Gardena. So Migena taking a good amount of damage there. You know, I guess if this monster didn't full up, you have to assume there's a good chance it's a Big Shield Gardena, because you saw that game 1. So going to take a little bit of extra damage here off of this Kaiku. It will at least be able to wall out the DD Warrior Lady. The Socialer will have to just crash them. But yeah, so looking pretty good for a Socialer here, I would say. Again, adding another back row to the board. So maybe Heavy Storm in hand is the idea. And then this is a new back row that's set Mirror Force. That would be my guess. If you have Pro Set Heavy here, you're probably not also setting a Mirror Force next to it. It's my guess. So that would be my read if I was a Socialer. Gonna draw for turn. We're gonna go turn that big shield guard into defense and then tribute summon for Horus. Now that there is a monster on the board for Horus to kill, going for that play, unaffected by spell cards. But there is Mirror Force to worry about, so I wonder if a Socialer has like a Heavy Storm or something. Yeah, are you just gonna run your Horse into a Mirror Force? That seems like kind of a misplay, doesn't it? You just gave up a ton of your board. You just 2-for-1'd yourself running into a known Mirror Force. So probably not ideal unless you just really want to clear out the Mirror Force to do some other stuff. But your board otherwise is pretty defensive, so maybe forgetting that Mirror Force was there. Just going to pass turn. Beginning here in a good spot. They have a Breaker the Magical Warrior here as well. No back row to pop, so it's going to be the full 1900 attack. And you can deal with the Big Shield Gardna, at least, attack in with the Big Shield Gardna to force it into defense or into attack position, even if you will take some damage, and then you can recoup that damage by attacking over the 100 attack point attack position Big Shield Gardna with the Kaiku, and get some value by banishing the opponent's stuff. So decent play here for Migena, and a little bit of unforced error there for a Socialer, giving Migena a lifeline here back into this game, despite all their Trinity getting ripped out turn 1. And then Kaiku can banish the Horus and the DD Warrior Lady. I guess the idea is those are probably the strongest like reanimation targets. You could probably safely assume a Socialer is playing at least like Premature Burial in this deck. Seems pretty good with like Horus. Although, does Premature Burial work on Horus? Because this card's unaffected by spell effects. Like, does that only function when they're on the field? In which case, Premature would be even better. Let me know in the comments if that's how it works. Not sure. But then maybe a Socialer at least running Call of the Haunted, probably. But yeah, Migena able to connect here with this Kaiku, able to banish some stuff. Pretty solid turn, has a decent board. One set monster here that has not been flipped up, so it could be another Big Shield Gardna, perhaps. But Migena just going to pass. Socialer does have Premature Burial. So yeah, smart for Migena to banish 2 of the stronger targets. You can revive, I guess, Giant Rat here to maybe try and crash and go for a Lily play, perhaps. But Migena has the Mystical Space Typhoon here to pop it anyway, so no reanimation for a Socialer allowed, at least this turn. And the Socialer just has to kind of pass with this one set monster here to potentially wall out some damage. But you got 2 big beefy monsters bearing down on you, so we'll see if you're able to. Breaker going to attack in first. It is a legendary Jujitsu Master. Cool, so at the end of the damage step, Breaker is going to get bounced to the top of the deck, but you're honestly kind of fine with that if you're Migena, because Breaker is not a bad card to draw, and Breaker is strong enough to beat over the Jujitsu Master. I think Migena would do this attack order anyway, because you would rather connect with the Kaiku to banish stuff from the grave. But really good here when the set is Legendary Jujitsu Master, because otherwise you'd have to have both of your monsters get bounced. But Breaker can at least kill the Jujitsu Master before it gets bounced, and then Kaiku can attack and reverse some damage. So pretty good stuff here for Migena. Top of the deck, not in the hand. Top of the deck. Yeah. The Socialer catching that, and Migena's just going to pass here, but the Kaiku plus the Breaker represents lethal next turn, so the Socialer very much back against the wall here. Has a set monster here, though, which will block at least one of these attacking monsters. It's going to go normal summon that Breaker, attack into it. It is a Sangan, so a Socialer is going to be able to get a search off of the Sangan. We'll see if they have anything in the deck to deal with this. Something like a Tsukiyomi could be nice. Your life points are going to be too low for any sort of Cyber Stein or Injection Fairy Lily activations, so you might not even have too much left in the deck to wall this out. Gravekeeper Spy would be kind of nice, but I don't think you're running that, probably. Although, Spy would be good tribute fodder for Horus, so maybe you do. Not sure. We'll see what the targets are. The Socialer is going to grab a Spirit Reaper. Okay, so yeah, I guess we knew Reaper was in the deck. That is a solid way to wall out these monsters. Totally fine. And then Kaiku will get in for 18, and then can banish probably the Master and the Sangan or something. That's my guess. Yeah, seems fine. And then main phase 2, just going to set a back row pass. So interestingly, This is a back row that they chose not to set last turn. I guess it could be pro set Heavy Storm. We know that they still have that in hand. So Socialer could probably have a decent read on this. They do have that Spirit Reaper in hand, which can pretty easily wall out Migena's board, though. Not too bad. Then they have a mind control as well. So we can Mind Con the Breaker to pop that back row. We'll see if it is that Heavy Storm. And it is. Nice. So just basically trading Mind Con for Heavy Storm and the Breaker token, which is a pretty solid trade. Now you can set your unchainable back row here without the Breaker threatening to pop it. And then probably setting that Spirit Reaper just to wall out here. So Migena, one more. Well, you need something to get through the Spirit Reaper, I guess. Do you have another Nobleman Crossout? Do you have a Mind Control? Anything like that? No, we're just going to attack into it, flip it face up, and we're going to get walled out. Okay, just going to pass. So Socialer picking the right card off of that Sangan. Going to get a little bit of time here to draw some outs to this board. And so they have a Cold Wave here. So going to go for some sort of play. No, just going to play it and say, just to buy a turn in case they drew like Snatch Seal or something to out the Spirit Reaper, I guess. So potentially just going -1 just to keep their Reaper alive is what it is. Draw pass for Migena, totally fine. Cold Wave here from a Socialer as well, and then plus Exile to pop the Kaiku. Okay, not too bad. So at least being able to remove one of the monsters. Breaker on his own is still lethal though, if you're able to remove the Spirit Reaper. But Migena under Cold Wave effect here for a second turn in a row, so pretty much all the outs in the deck, unless you're running like Zaborg or something, to Spirit Reaper are going to be spells for traps. So yeah, just draw pass. Socialer buying a little bit more time. Gonna set a back row here. Migena has a Reinforcement of the Army, which can go grab Exiled Force. Nice. And yeah, that's gonna be enough. Again, we'll just go ahead and normal summon Exiled, tribute it to pop the Spirit Reaper, and then beat in for the Breaker. The set card was just a pro set Heavy Storm, so Socialer just bluffing there. Again, calling the bluff, going to be able to attack in with that Breaker, and taking it down 2-0 in, nominally a pretty interesting matchup in terms of decks, but it was just kind of textbook gameplay from Migena here in both games. Not doing anything super crazy, able to fight back both times from very strong openings from a Socialer with multiple Trinity, Trap Dust Shoot plus Mind Crush combos, but a couple unforced errors, unfortunately, allowing Migena just to kind of come back and, a Socialer when you're down to low cards in the deck and you're running like something bricky like a Stein Horus deck, it is tough to kind of make things happen. You really want a critical mass of cards for your combos to work with. And Migena just able to apply pressure with classic stuff like Kaiku plus Breaker and take down this game 2-0 with their, I guess, warrior goat control sort of list. So Merry Christmas once again to all of you who celebrate. Hope you guys enjoyed this match. I will catch you all next time.